Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. Well, first of all, we will start the video with a cold start. I can't say that that's a bad sound because now we actually coded in a startup roar, and now we're with the exhaust next to our shed, so the noise bounces off very nicely. So yeah, that was a good cold start. But today I'm going to talk about 5 things that I actually don't like. Maybe I'll turn on the light. That I don't like about my M140i. So, to be honest, this was a hard list to make, and actually a few things that I picked were a little bit nitpicky because I actually do like the car a lot. Is it a perfect car? No. You can definitely tell that BMW cut some corners here and there just to keep the gap between the 140i and like an M2 big enough. I really think if they would make like a 1M hatchback version of this car, that it would be a brilliant car. I'm pretty sure of that. But there are a few things that I don't like about this car, and like I said, I had to be very nitpicky. But one of the things that I don't like, and I have noticed it on this car, on my previous F20. On the previous F20 it was actually worse than on this one, but this car is 4 years younger, so that explains a lot. And even my older E87, and that is interior cracking noises. I don't know what's up with BMW, but when I'm driving over bumps, and especially when it's colder, I hear a lot cracking inside, and I just turn on my heater, my ventilation, and my music, and then I don't hear it a lot. But I thought it was because of my previous 1 Series had a problem, but then I drove in more BMWs, and a lot of them had it. So it's something BMW related, I guess. But yeah, the cracking noise is something that bothers me. Like I said, it's not the biggest problem because most of the times I'm just listening to the exhaust noises. But yeah, it's something that I notice, and yeah, it's something that annoys me. But like I said, this is me being very nitpicky because I actually do love this car. So yeah, that's thing 1 that's bothering me. Then another thing that bothers me. Hey, there's my catty. Hello, little pussy. No, sorry. I need to refuel again. Damn it. Anyway, another thing that really bothers me on this car is also my previous F20 had it, and I actually already solved it. Probably when you see me pointing at it, you know what I mean. But there is no such thing as oil temps on this car. They just don't give you any oil temps. And I know on the LCI 2, this is an LCI 1, and how you know the difference? Well, this one still has the older dash, and then the LCI 2 actually has a dashboard from the 3 Series. That's how you notice the biggest difference. And also, you can see it like this. It has some leather on it, and on the LCI 2 it's just plastic, so actually that's nicer on the LCI 1. But the biggest thing actually is the cluster. So the cluster on the LCI 2 is much nicer. It's like a blackline cluster, so when you turn off the car, you actually don't see anything, just a black panel. I'm definitely going to switch to that panel later on, because this looks just antique and old. And yeah, basically this is how the F20 got released with its guts. So this is like from 10 years ago, so no, not a big fan of them. But apparently on the LCI 2 you could see oil temps, but on the LCI 1 you can't. So that's why I got the steering wheel, just for the fancy lights. But the extra cool thing is that you actually finally have oil temps, so that is a good thing. My previous F20 also didn't have it, and I got a little P3 gauge for that. On this car we're probably not going to do it because actually, what this does is basically the same. There are some features on the P3 gauge that you don't have on this screen, but I never used those, so I'm not getting a P3 gauge for features that I don't use anyway. So yeah, the second thing that I absolutely dislike is no oil temps. And another thing that I don't like about this car, which I also already fixed, is the exhaust noise. I thought stock for a 6-cylinder, this car was actually very quiet, and some people like that, but I think you buy a 6-cylinder BMW with over 300 horsepower. I think a little bit of sound can't hurt, but apparently you can get these with an M Performance exhaust, and that will make the car sound a lot better. But no, this one didn't came with that. It came with a stock exhaust, and I'm going to say that the sound is terrible, but it was far from spectacular. You could hear it was a 6-cylinder, but it was just not cutting it for me. We fixed that now with the Remus, which I'll demonstrate a little bit. Yeah, and now I have Pilot Sport Force on the rear instead of Super Sports, and I can put the power down way better as before, so I don't have traction control kicking in the whole time. So yeah, stock noise for me was a letdown. The N55 on the M140i did sound better than this engine, but I think now with the Remus exhaust, that I think that I solved that problem. So basically already 2 of my 3 problems that I told you guys are fixable, and so is number 4, because number 4 is an open differential. I just don't get it, but I actually understand why they didn't do it. But yeah, it makes a car less enjoyable, an open differential. Because when you're running 340 horsepower, and a lot of M140i's are not stock anymore, they run over 400 horsepower, you definitely need an LSD. And the main reason that BMW didn't gave us an LSD in the M140i is the M2, because they want to make the gap between the M140i and the M2 big enough to just to make people choose the M2, because they couldn't make the M140i too good. And I think when they put the P58 in this one, and like an upgraded version of the N55 in the M2, and people started noticing that the B58 was actually the better engine, BMW was like, oh, we can't make the M140i handle better as the M2, so we have to make the gap big enough. So yeah, I think an LSD on this car would have been perfect, but the gap has to exist. It's not a real M car, it's an M Lite, as a lot of people call it. It's not an M140i. It is an M140i, but I mean it's not a real M car like the M2 is. So I get why BMW done it, but we are definitely like 100% sure getting an LSD on this car. Another thing that I hate on this car is, but that's not on the 5 things I hate list, but when this car gives me a warning, like now it just told me that it's under 3 degrees, and a few minutes ago it gave me a low fuel warning, and it uses the same sound for everything. So if my engine would explode, it would make the same sound in the interior, and every time when I hear that sound, my heart skips a beat, because I think something is broken on the car, but then it's just something stupid like low temps or refuel. So yeah, that's another thing that I actually absolutely hate, but that's not something on the list. Maybe it is. Yeah. No, but really, an LSD is really going to benefit this car a lot. I'm thinking about, you can actually get this car with an M Performance LSD, so I'm thinking of getting that one, because I know a website on wind parts, they're for sale now. They're only €2,300, but they're much more expensive if you get them somewhere else. So yeah, we may do that in the future. We'll see. That's still to be negotiate about. But yeah, basically like 3 out of 5 problems with this car for me are fixable, and they make the car way more enjoyable. So yeah, like I said, I have to be very nitpicky, and that's actually why I buy a car. I don't always look at what a car is, but I look at what a car can be. And the M140i is a great car, and it can become like a supercar killer, big B58 basically. High pressure fuel pump, catless downpipe, MPR 800, and you're running 550, 600 horsepower at the crank. So another thing that I hate is that this car consumes a lot of fuel. But you know, I knew that before I bought it, and actually when you drive decent, the fuel consumption is actually pretty manageable. But what I don't like is those fuel prices, like 20 liters of fuel, that's 33 euros. And basically the last thing, and I actually forgot the last thing, I had to look in my you know, little folder that I made from what this video was going to be about. Number 5 is actually also solvable, because it's the brakes. I think that the brakes on this car, let me turn on the light again, are, I'm not going to say they are bad, but they're not great. I have driven an M140i with upgraded brakes, and I think that was really, you know, much better. So yeah, brakes are a thing on this car. I'm not going to say, like I said, they're not bad and they're perfect for daily usage. But you know, when you start to get some extra horsepower and do track days, they're really on their limits. So yeah, brakes. But like I said, 4 out of 5 things that I told you guys about this car are actually upgradable. So like I said, you know, this car can become something very great if you put a lot of money in it, you know. But it's already great when you buy it stock, but it can become much better. That's basically my point. But yeah, so those are basically the things that I don't like: an open differentials, the plastic cracking, exhaust, brakes, and I actually forgot number 5 while talking about it. Exhaust, I already told that. Yeah, and no oil temps. So yeah, those are really the things that I don't like about it, and I actually already solved 2 out of them. Going to solve another 2. And actually, if you really want to, the cracking noises, I think if you want to spend the research and the money on it, and you want to take out every panel and put isolation in it, I think you can actually also solve that. So yeah, that's my video about 5 things that I hate about the M140i. Like I said, I had to be nitpicky, so don't start with those stupid comments like, he's just acting stupid. Because those people comment that and they don't watch the video because they are stupid themselves. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching and see you soon. Bye.